Boom. All right. See how professional that looks?
Getting up close and personal, and
There it is.
all
All
right.
right. Want to get you in so close you can read my mind. Okay.
There you go.
I don't know about that. I've been there, done that.
Oh, we'll stay out late to gastrobate and hang out with our friends. We'll share a few good microbrews, the good times never end. From seaside to the mountains, we'll travel many lands. Eateth of their pub cuisine and hear their local bands. We'll drink it from a bottle in a can or what's on tap. We'll rage brew as we do with fairness and a map. Spirits are up, we'll fill our cup, the wind is in our sails. We'll drunkenly mix metaphors and travel Hoppy Trails.
Welcome back to Hoppy Trails, a show where we don't just give up on dry January by ourselves, we bring in some friends to give up on dry January with us.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis, and this episode we have a special guest with us. And special guest, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Steve. I'm the Intoxicated Traveler.
Yes, you are. And we first ran across you on the Instagram, as the kids call it, I'm told. And we saw a lot of your content. You're always making some fun stuff. You put some funny stuff up. It looks like you're out there having a lot of adventures. And so I don't know, for a little while, we've just been kind of messaging back and forth. And we thought, you know what, let's pull the trigger and let's get you on the show here.
Here I am. Let's go. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, so anybody who's seen you on Instagram, they see that you put a lot of content up. And Nick and I, we were talking, we were like, well, I mean, he seems to go out and drink beer. That's good. We can understand that. And we're like, he's got a lot of followers. We don't have, so we don't understand how that works. And then we saw a lot of posts where you're out at events, or maybe it's just at a brewery, and you're drinking a beer, which we do, but then you're also selling merch. And we thought, how do we do that? If I'm going to drink a beer anyway, how do I get people to give me money while I do it?
Drinking on the job is always a good thing.
So, I mean, is that kind of the crux of how this works with the Intoxicated Traveler? Is this about going around drinking beer and selling merch?
Well, I mean, it's not the way it started. It's just my lifestyle in general. And then once I started to make the logo and put it on things and wear it myself, people reached out and like, how do I get that? I want a hat or a glass or whatever I might be using in reels or posts. And
yeah.
So now what it kind of turned into is my home office, I guess, looks like a full-on freaking retail store. And anytime there's any sort of market event, outdoors, craft fair, a brewery's doing a shop and sip thing, or they have a million names for it, but I'll try to see, can I come set up shop? And the best ones are at like taprooms and breweries and stuff, because then you can just sit there and drink beer all day. Or if it's in a park, say in the summer, and there's food trucks and vendors, I'll come set up a tent and I bring all my, fill the whole truck full of stuff and see what happens.
Oh, that's great.
Excellent.
That's great. Well, and speaking of beer, usually we start off each episode where, we crack a beer and we talk about what we're drinking. I assume, and forgive me for assuming, I assume you probably have a beer handy. Is that fair?
I do. I almost always do. So, yeah.
or a wall of alcohol behind him. So.
Right. Yeah.
Funny thing is, I don't even drink that. I drink beer.
If things get real
when
desperate,
people come over, parties, guests, but I'm a beer guy, so.
Fair enough. Well, let's see what everybody's got. I actually have a couple of beers, so let's see which one I get first here.
I've got two big old crowlers here.
Ooh, nice.
I've never seen these before, but it's very nice when you get multiple crowlers.
Wow, I've never seen that. I've never seen that ring holder before. Very nice.
Little air bowl.
I just stopped because I knew I'd want to get something for this. So, let's see. It's called
Hot Damn.
Willie Mays Haze from a brewery in Tacoma called Seven Seas. And
very nice.
Anytime I see it says hazy anything, I'm going to at least try it. And I like it 9.9 times out of 10. So,
yeah, that's usually a safe bet.
Willie Mays?
Yeah, M-A-I-Z-E.
Nice. Maze.
Yep.
Maze. It's fantastic, okay?
It's amazing.
And what's kind of cool, the baseball reference, if you could see the hat, instead of tops, it says hops.
Nice. I like that.
And then their
I
cans
like
and
that.
stuff just say, "You'll like it." So that's pretty cool too.
I like the guarantee right on there. So,
Yeah.
so maize, I'm assuming that's then a corn-based ferment.
I would assume that would only make sense why they put it like that. I don't know if it
All
really
right.
says on here, but either way, it says I'm going to like it.
Like a
so.
Mexican lager.
Yeah, maybe perhaps. Well, but yeah, it's hazy with the corn base. Interesting. I will be interested to see how that goes. Now, Nick, what are you about to pour there? I saw you had the crowlers, but what's inside of those?
So I've got a actually new one. I think you saw it from Arable. It's their Italian Pilsner called Hoppy How.
Oh, nice.
Read that. There we go.
Yeah.
So I tried that out. We stopped by there on Friday to drop off a 4-pack to them that we picked up a couple beers from ASB and Humblesea for them. And I tried out their Italian Pils, and then another one that they just introduced as well. Their Just Win Hazy IPA.
That's my
nice.
style.
Which, it is super, super dark.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'll tap into the pills right now. I just
that Hoppy How. I love the Goodfellas Joe Pesci reference. Ooh. Well, did you see that? Man, that one got all over your microphone there.
That was a squirter.
That one should have tapped you on the head first to let you know. I've got some from Discretion Brewing here. Okay, and this is called High Citra Hazy IPA, right? A single hop with Citra. It is, man, let me see where this is. 7%, 35 IBUs. So, as you're going to do these days with the hazy, much lower on the bitterness, 7%, pretty standard. I call that lower end IPA, right?
Yeah, mine's only 6.2, so that's pretty low.
Yeah, that's I think the lowest end of the category is 6.2, I think. There's that. This one doesn't feel like it's super heavily carbonated, and actually the can had a little bit of give to it. So I'm hoping that's just, the way they did the style, and oh, that smells nice. Yeah.
Yeah, mine
get
too.
this in a glass. Okay.
See, but you don't have this glass.
No, I don't. Oh,
all the cool kids have this.
Nice. And I love that glass style too, the can style.
That's why I did it my first round. I ordered 100 pint glasses, and once those were gone, I'm like, oh no, this is way more different, unique, and people seem to really like the can glass. So
absolutely,
future orders will be in these.
It's such a cool shape, and like you said, it's unique. And even though they've been around for a little bit, and there's a couple of folks who have used them for different things. I think I have one from Strike, but it's not so widespread that everyone has seen it. You know what I mean? So when you have one of those, there's going to be somebody who's like, "Oh, this is cool."
All the bars in my town, and I think there's maybe one who uses this type of glass for their regular beer and stuff. But just a better feel, the way your lip hits the top and stuff. I don't know. I like them
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I've got here. I am using my. Let's see if everyone can see that. Okay. Well, let me. Okay, I'm going to take a swig so I don't spill this on my keyboard like an idiot. Ooh,
I already took a swig of mine, and every time I drink beer, my wife gives me crap because she says I drink it way, way, way too fast. I'm not trying to chug, but I swear 3 gulps, maybe 4, and I'm ready for my next one. So
there's no such thing as too fast, only too slow.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Only if it gets way warm and flat to where it's no longer pleasant. Right?
Well, and then I sell these custom leather type of koozies and stuff for all the guys that are big koozie collectors or koozie users, but I've never even used one because I drink it so it doesn't ever get warm. I mean, it's gone in a few minutes. I don't need something to keep it chilled. It's not going to sit there that long. So I'm not a koozie guy, even though I have a million of them.
Yeah. Our koozies are for advertising.
Right. Yep. Some people are big on it though. There's Instagram accounts where they just collect them, and it's nothing but pictures of all their koozies and stuff, which, hey, everybody's got their thing. I don't care. As long as they buy one of mine.
Hey, it's better than Beanie Babies.
It definitely beats Beanie Babies. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm rocking my
shelves of
Brewing
Legos
glass
behind me, so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
This is my Brewing glass, which many people will know that I'm, member owner of Brewing. Nick, you're also a member owner of Brewing. California's first and only cooperatively owned brewery, at least for now. We're
El Presidente.
That's right. I am currently the president of the brewery, so I'm not just the president, I'm also a client of the Hair Club for
Dang,
Beer.
that's cool.
But we actually just finished kegging up a Three's a Charm pale ale, which came out a little bit on the higher side. I believe it's a 6.4%, so a little bit above the style guide. But I mean, hey, what's a couple of tenths of a percent among friends? But really great beer.
Guides are
Beer-
just suggestions.
That's right. That's why they're called guidelines.
So you guys
so
own
anybody-
an actual brewery that's open in public, or is it a home brew thing, or what?
The Brewing is a cooperatively owned brewery out of San Jose. Doesn't have a specific location, but is licensed. Does contract brewing with a lot of local brewers. So we develop the recipes. We pay a brewery to brew it and keg it for us, and then we go and sell it to restaurants and bars and liquor stores. Yeah.
Cool.
So we just finished a 15-barrel batch that was brewed with Strike Brewing, great brewery in the South Bay area, and that's. So that should be available. Anybody who's in California, hit up your local beer dispenser and ask them to get some Brewing. Hit me up and I'll get it shipped down there. So.
How do you spell it? What is it called?
Yeah.
So
it's a tough one.
It's Ohlone Indian, which was the native tribe for that area.
Yeah.
And in Ohlone is basically means resting place of the hummingbird.
So how's it
there's
spelled?
a big
UMUNHUM.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Well, I'll have to keep my eye out for that word. I'll definitely remember where I heard it from.
Basically, there's a big mountain that looks over the whole valley, that is
Yeah.
San Jose, and that's Mount Umunhum.
Yeah.
And so yeah. But
Gotcha.
I feel like a majority of their beers that they've released have had some kind of tech relation, the name, like the PHP honey ale or whatever that it was.
Yep.
I think it was.
Stout as a service and pixelation porter and what have you. Definitely a lot of tech themed names because South Bay area. That's where a lot of the tech comes from.
Yeah, I had a brewery that made a beer for me, and man, we were going back and forth on names for a long time. I don't know if you guys ever saw it or saw my can or whatever, but
no.
When
was this?
Grab one. Yeah.
Well, they're empty, but this is one of the big
Oh,
crowlers.
19 ounce. Oh, okay, crowler. Nice.
There's the logo.
Yeah.
Mount Rainier. Me and my
awesome.
dog.
Yes.
And then the name of it was Hometown Haze.
Yeah.
That is
yeah, very
awesome.
nice.
And it was done by these guys, Vortex Alley Brewing in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma?
Excellent.
Yeah, I flew down there and brought home a bunch of it and had a party where they sold it. And I got to take home the sign that had the beer on. It was on number 1 on the tap list and everything. So pretty fun experience to go goof around Oklahoma and meet some brewery owners for a week.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Oh, that's
How long
amazing.
ago did you do that?
Last November.
Oh, okay. So not that long ago.
No,
okay.
not long ago at all. And I think they made 300 cans. And I took, I don't know how many of these big ones, but I took home maybe like 30 and then they shipped me a bunch more. So after I got home and got it all situated, I did a little thing where anybody that bought a shirt or a hat or anything got one of my beers for free. So they went like hotcakes and now I got
I'm sure.
But
that's awesome.
I'm going back there in a couple months. So I'm going to message them and say, hey, I'm coming back to say hi. You guys can me some more of my beer, but I don't know if they will. But
yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's such a cool thing. Nick and I have talked about maybe getting in touch with some folks to see if we could do some kind of a collaboration like that. How'd you get plugged in with the people in Oklahoma?
Just meeting people through Instagram like this, and it just turned out, they liked my shtick, and they were a brewery, and they seemed like cool guys, so I followed them, and then kind of jokingly, one of the 3 guys that own it, I believe, and the one that I interact with, who I'm friends with through Instagram, had mentioned, man, our 5-year anniversary is in November. It'd be awesome if you made a surprise visit. And I said, I mean, I travel a ton. I could probably make that happen. I said something about beer, and he's like, if you make it happen, we'll make you a beer. We'll put your face on it and everything. I was like, done. I told my wife, sorry, honey, but we're going to Oklahoma for 4 days and however long we went. And he did it all on his computer, and I obviously sent him some images and stuff, but we kind of collaborated. And the list of names was, I had so many goofy, funny ones, but I said, we'll put my mountain on there, call it Hometown Haze. It's got a good ring to it. And
sure.
so it was really, really
cool.
fun. And now they just opened a second location in another tiny town in Oklahoma. So I said, maybe I got to come to that grand opening. And he was jokingly, I think he said, if you come to that one, we won't make you more beer. We'll make you another beer and another can. And I was like, oh, well, say when.
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Every brewery out there who is listening right now, I know there's probably none, but if you're out there, spread the word. If you want to succeed to where you're growing and opening second and third locations, you need to work with Intoxicated Traveler.
That's right.
Make him a beer, and
I'll help you
will
out.
succeed. Unlimited growth potential. That's what you've got there. Yeah.
I mean, I do get stuff like all the time from like some of the bigger companies and stuff too. They're like, if you make a post, we'll send you a ton of Elysian sends me stuff, and I did one with like the local meat. You probably saw that one
Bavarian
too.
Meats. Bavarian Meats. They sent these guys stuff right here. Yeah.
I get stuff all the time, which is great. And they're just like, make a post with it. But I got so much stuff like, if we send you all these non-alcoholic beers, and I'm like, you can send anything you want, but that goes against me. I'm not going to make a reel for you about a non-alcoholic beer. That's not my thing. So
that's it. You're like, do you want me to make a reel of just all of them lined up on my kitchen counter while I stab them with a screwdriver and pour them down the drain? Because I'll make that. I will make that reel for you.
The word intoxicated is in my name. I'm not going to make a reel about not being intoxicated or whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just toxic.
Exactly. It's pretty fun to get that stuff though, and have these people reach out and want to, like, I guess, work with you or whatever.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of companies have figured out that it costs them a lot less to send some free product and then have other people make the content than to do it themselves. And that's one of the things we've found. If we roll up into somewhere and say, hey, can I clip this mic on you for a minute and we're just going to make a little bit of content? Everyone always says yes, because they're you know what it would cost for me to pay someone to do this? Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It helps you. It helps them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you actually got us some Bavarian Meats, because I remember you threw a post up and I said, how do we get on this train of getting some of these? And you commented at them and said, hey, hook these guys up. Next thing we know, we've got a direct message.
There you go.
Got a little bit of stuff shipped out to us. So, spreading the love.
That's cool. So, hey, that's what I'm here for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. Now, I remember you were on a show recently. You were talking about some various things and travels and where you go and all of this. What is your favorite place that you went last year? If you have a favorite you can identify.
See, he kind of asked me a similar thing, and it's got to narrow it down to, are we talking in the country or just anywhere? I mean, it's tough because we go on a lot of vacations each year.
Yeah. That's that's a good clarification. I would say of trips that you took within the United States, where's your favorite?
Nashville.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I have been to Nashville.
And what do you think?
I think it's a really, really cool place with some amazing food and a lot of breweries.
Oh yeah,
they've got a pretty good number of breweries there. Yeah,
and to me, it's the food, it's the people, you could go to a bar at 9 a.m. for breakfast, and there's a live band rocking. Like, there's, other than maybe New Orleans, there's nowhere like that to me, where you can just some of the bars in Nashville, they're 4 floors. Every floor has a different live band at the same time. I'm like, this is insane, because you don't have anything like that where I'm from.
Yeah.
So we fell in love with Nashville, and I'm probably going to end up moving somewhere near there eventually.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that really stood out to me now that you mention that and thinking back is that a lot of their places are really big. They're set up almost as though it's like a big event to go out there.
Yeah.
But that's just like the standard. You know what I mean? So you roll into a place that I would be like, oh, there's some kind of special event tonight, and this is like a, kind of an event space. No, this is just how it is. And there's a bunch of them all around. It's like, this is how everybody gets down out here.
Yep. It's what do they call it? Nash Vegas. It's pretty cool. Yep. We're going there again, cool. I think in October. I can't even remember now. Yeah. But that's probably pretty much, not even within the last year, that's probably my favorite place to go in the United States. I go to Vegas all the time because it's close and I'm a degenerate and like to gamble all night. But
sure,
just to go get away and eat and drink and party, I mean, Nashville's the place for me.
Now, I do want to ask you, because something I noticed anytime I start going east, but not all the way to the East Coast, right? I start to notice that they've got a lot of these beers that are labeled IPA, and they've got
They're labeled what?
names. They're labeled IPA,
Okay.
and they've got names that would indicate a lot of hop involvement. And being from the West Coast, I'm always just like, oh, this is gonna be a good hoppy one. Let's crack into this thing. And it's like a big malt bomb, And I'm like, where are the hops? Is that something you've noticed on your travels when you get east of the West Coast?
I mean, I would say for sure, the further east you go, the worse the beer is. Whether it's not hoppy or what it is, I mean, especially the East Coast. Like we've been to Philadelphia and stuff. I couldn't get a good beer there to save my life. Like maybe it's because I'm so used to what we can get in this corner of the world, but
sure, we're very spoiled.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Well, in Philadelphia, in a couple of places, you can sometimes get a Pliny the Elder. So, if nothing else, you can find that West Coast classic.
I did not find that there, but I did find other weird stuff that I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're just spoiled being from the West Coast, and the Northwest in particular there's a lot of good beer up here.
Sure. Yeah, there certainly is. But I will say, you get out that direction, barbecue is, and don't get me wrong, I've got some barbecue spots I love, but barbecue is really good out there. And there's a lot of variety because they've got the regional kind of styles that go on there. And that's something that's a lot of fun, is going around that area and trying the different styles of barbecue that are all so unique and delicious.
Yeah. So a lot of them are very different too. You think around here a barbecue joint's a barbecue joint, but you start getting into some where they're like, we do all beef, we do no sauce, we do all dry rub, we smoke it in a pit there's so many variations. But speaking of that, I mean, we are going to Leavenworth, but one of my actual trips coming up, we're going to Texas. Never been, so we're going to go to Fort Worth to the stockyards, and my buddy's like, why are you going there? What are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to drink beer and I'm going to eat barbecue every day, probably at least twice every single day. So,
yeah. Yes.
Have you guys been to Texas?
I went when I was younger, but not to, unfortunately not experience barbecue or anything. So
I went
that's
one
on
time.
the list.
There's a few barbecue places I want to go to. I've been to Texas once, and that was back in the day after high school. I was working for San Jose State's football team, right, with the video coordinator department. I don't know if you know this about college football, but there's these rules about filming games and trading them before it's this whole thing. So they have whole departments. So we had to go along with the teams and film the games and trade the tapes. So we go out there. I'm not 21 yet, but I'm with a bunch of people who are. And we're like, okay, well, we're going to go out. And I'm just like, whatever, let's see what happens. So we go to a bar, and at the door, there's a bouncer checking IDs. And when it comes to me, I go, I'm not drinking. I'm just here with these guys. I'm not drinking tonight. And he's like, oh, okay, and lets me in. And so then we get up to the bar, and everybody's ordering beers, and I order a beer, and the bartender's like, I need to see your ID. I'm like, what do you need to see my ID for? I just showed it to the guy at the door, and he was like, oh, okay, here's a beer. And I was like, that was way too easy, but that's my experience with Texas, yeah.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to be one of those places that I'm going to go to and fall in love with it because it's so different than Seattle and so much better, I'm sure, and probably going to want to move there too. But we'll see. In a couple months, I'll report back and let you know what I thought.
I've heard if you're thinking about moving to Texas, you should visit in the middle of winter.
I've heard it can be rough in
Although
winter.
We can't really talk because we have our own ice apocalypses too. So
yeah. Here in the coast of California, it's actually been. I think it got down to about 54 degrees, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh, you poor
my shoes got a little bit wet on the way to the car, and it was a whole thing. It was rough.
We went to a couple years back. We went to San Diego, my wife and I, just to goof off for 3-4 days, like we always do everywhere, to eat and drink, really. And one of the things we did there was did a brewery tour. For whatever reason, maybe it was midweek or something. It was only us on the brewery tour, just my wife and I, and the guy driving the brewery bus thing.
Yeah,
he drank with us. We had a blast and everything. But we were asking him, about living in San Diego, and I forget where he had moved from, somewhere cold like Minnesota, Wisconsin, or something. And he said, if you're ever thinking about moving to San Diego, here's the thing you do. First thing you do, throw away your pants. And I'm like, okay. He goes, you will never wear pants again. And I'm like, okay. He goes, second thing, throw away your shoes. I was like, what? He goes,
yes.
I moved here like 3 years ago. All I've worn since I've been here is flip-flops and shorts. Yes. No wonder you guys are so freaking happy in a 600 square foot house is $1.5 million, you jerk. You got it pretty good there.
I will agree with that. I went to school in San Diego. It's where I met my wife. We were down there for about 6 years before we moved back up to the Bay Area. And, you know, I joke in California, there are some colder spots, not as cold as anywhere else, but San Diego's still very different. And yeah, 100%. I got up to the Bay Area. It's the middle of winter. It's in a downpour, and I'm literally in shorts and sandals. And people are like, "Why don't you put some shoes on?" I'm like, I don't have shoes. I can't. I have 9 pairs of sandals that I brought with me, and that's what I've got. These are my warmest sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it pretty much like, I guess if it were an average, it's probably close to 70 every day of the year, I would think.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. It's about
chills down to 60 and it gets up to 80 every once in a while. But
yeah, there's about 2 weeks that it gets up to about 80 when the Santa Ana wind blows through, and it's real unpleasant until you get out to the beach.
Like, oh, it's cold. I got to put my hoodie on.
It is. It is. And I remembered when we were there, you know, in the mornings, I say the mornings, around 11:30-ish when I would wake up and start getting ready to go to class, you look at the news, and if it was raining, it was like, you know, one of the 3 times out of the year it was going to rain, but it was so infrequent that by the time I'm looking at it 11:30, they're like, we already have 50 car crashes all over the freeway.
Oh my God.
Because nobody knew how to drive in the rain.
Yeah.
They're like, what do we do? There's water coming from the sky. Speed up, speed up. Yeah, so it was pretty rough.
Funny.
Yeah.
Hey, that is a good beer city, though.
Oh, yeah. Tons of breweries down there.
Yep.
Tons and tons. Yeah, and, you know, Coronado Brewing's been around forever. There's, you know what, Green Flash, I think they got purchased. I'm not sure, but who is it that makes Sculpin?
Ballast Point.
Ballast
Point. We went there. Went to Ballast Point. We went to Mission.
Oh, yeah.
Mission was really cool. Went to Pizza Port.
Yeah.
Pizza Port's a favorite of mine.
That's it. Yeah. Whatever we were in, like Ocean City or Ocean Beach. Or
Ocean Beach, yeah.
Something like that. It was it was like a different location than he had planned, but really cool. We ate pizza and drank beer in there. That was a really good spot.
Yeah.
I can't remember what other ones we went to. I think we probably went to 4 or 5. I don't remember now.
Yeah, there's a lot of breweries down there. And in fact, Nick, when we had Holly on, she was from San Diego, right? And that was where she got her brewing experience before she came up and started Epidemic.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, just tons of it. I know Holly mentioned that, you know, people in San Diego believe that they started the spread and growth of the craft beer movement and popularity of IPAs. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But hey, of places it would come out of, that's one of the spots it could have.
It could have. It would make sense. I have no idea, but
yeah. Well, and you're up in a place that has a lot of breweries now. You're way up there in the corner of the Pacific Northwest. That's Seattle's a very big brewery town there.
We definitely have a lot, and most of it's good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've got some family that's up in the Washington area, and every time we go up, you know, they take us out to some breweries and everything. And I always say the same dumb joke because it's funny to me. And, you know, they're like, "Oh, let's go out and just get some beers." I'm like, "Oh, you're going to take us to the one brewery in your whole state?" Like, cool. You know, it's a stupid joke, but I mean, it's funny because they've got a million goddamn breweries. Yeah. Similar to Oregon, right, Nick? I mean, you guys have a brewery or two there.
There's a couple.
Just a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Although where we're at, there's I feel like there's more wineries than there are breweries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, how is it in Washington? Are there a lot of cideries? Because I know you guys have that huge, you're the number 1 apple producer in the United States, like by far, right? I think it's like
apples and hops.
4%. And hops. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, actually, I think they said like 80-something% of the hops used in the world for beer come from Yakima. I swear I've heard that, at least in the country.
Yeah.
Even the guys who made my beer in Oklahoma, he said something about what hops do you want to use? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm not a beer scientist like you guys are. And he's like, well, I'm buying them from you guys anyways. We order all of our hops from Yakima. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. I didn't know Oklahoma. And he goes, no, every brewery that I know of gets them from Yakima. Yeah, that's cool. And great, great, great beer town, by the way. Yakima, it should be, as it should be with all the hops. But went there for my birthday last year. And other than it being about 116 degrees, and most places either weren't open or they apologized that it was too hot for their AC to work. So we were miserable. But cold beer helps every time. And we went to some really cool places there.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Yeah, I think in the middle of the summer, it got up. We got up to somewhere around the mid 80s here, and it was rough. Let me tell you. I was, sitting there with a cold beer.
We were in Yakima on July 31st, which is usually the hottest time anywhere. So it was over 110 each day we were there, and we were really, really, really miserable.
Yeah.
But the beer helps.
Yeah. The beer does help. Absolutely. Yeah, the classic traditional hops when craft beer really started taking off were, the Pacific Northwest hops were the go-tos.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've got your Cascade, your Chinook, your Willamette, there's more that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Mosaic. Yeah, just hops that were coming out of the PNW, Oregon and Washington and a lot of Washington, like you said. Those are the hops that drove the craft beer movement.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. Oh, but what you were saying was about the cider, whatever you call them. I don't drink that.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a new one. Well, it's about 3 years old now, about a mile up the street from my house. It's got a cool name. I live in the Tacoma area, so I'm in Pierce County. Their name is Fierce County with an F. So that's kind of a cool play on words.
Very
Fierce
nice.
County cider. And then there's probably 2 more within 20 minutes from here. And I go to this one because it's by my house, and they also have usually free beers on tap. Nice. And they get food trucks. So I'll go there, let my wife can drink the stuff, and I drink the beer. But there's got to be something good to draw me to a cider place, because I'm just not a fan. I like bitter, hoppy beer. I don't want the sweet stuff.
Sure. Yeah. There are some ciders that are, definitely less sweet. Nick, I don't know. You're not a fan of the sweet ciders either, are you?
Yeah, I'm more a fan of the dry ciders.
Dry. Yeah, me as well. I'm not into the sweet ones. I feel like that was the standard even, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, was a lot of these places coming out doing craft ciders real sweet and just hard to drink. But I feel like there's a lot more of the wild ferment and just generally dry ciders. There's a place, Santa Cruz Cider Company, which Nick, we've got to meet up with them. I've been trying to connect with them for the longest time, and it's me dropping the ball. But they do like a hopped cider that's super dry and light with some hops in it. It's delightful.
Nice.
All kinds of different stuff. But yeah, if you get a chance to find a place that's doing the dry or the wild ferments and like that, give them a taste. May still not be your thing.
Yeah.
But they're a world apart from those sweet
that
ciders.
Or something that's been like spiced or barrel aged.
Oh,
So,
some barrel aged ciders,
yeah.
Similar kind of thing. What's you guys, since you're beer guys, what's your take on sour beers?
Well, what are we talking about?
Because I'll tell you right now, they are not for me.
Well, what are we talking about? We talking wild ferments? We talking kettle sours? I mean,
I don't know anything. Someone's like, try this. It's a really good sour, and I'm like, it tastes like the bottom of the water in my dishwasher or something.
So I feel like when it comes to sours, like it's either a love or hate. Because right out the gate, it's gonna be, sour is usually gonna be really tart, in your face, and there's just some folks just don't like that.
See, that's part of it for me too, is because it's so tart or sour that, like, even if it does taste good, I want to drink like 2 sips of it. With beer, I'll drink 12 of them, no problem. I'm not drinking 12 sour or cider or too much.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know.
And what's the other aspect of it that you don't like about it?
With
sours?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
With sours, we've got our kettle sours that are going to be ones that are very controlled. They're going for, a certain level of acidity. It's, kettle sours can be quite a range, and then they stop the souring. They call it kettle because they sour it in the kettle and then bring it up to a boil to kill all the things that are souring it. There are some breweries that have started just adding in a souring agent like your citric acid or your lactic acid or whatever like that. So it's even more controlled where you're not relying on the bacteria and things. But then you've got this whole range of wild ferments where they're bringing in the lactobacillus and sometimes your Brettanomyces and things like that. And those are ones that can get they get funky, right? And we describe it oftentimes as that barnyard funk. And you're like, why does this remind me of fresh hay, and a horseback ride? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you're into it, you're like, but in a good way. This is like I poured a beer on a horse and then licked the horse, but in a positive way.
See, now you're making me think I might like. No.
Making you reconsider, huh? Yeah. But it's one of those things that you're either into or you're not. But yeah, there's no in between on that. Like if you drink it and it doesn't speak to you, I'm not going to be able to be like, oh no, but this is the one. This is the intro one. It's just.
Well, I guess now I get when I said that's the other reason. The main reason is I don't like the taste, but that's the second reason is that I don't like the taste. So I like to drink like a pretty good amount, a few of them, more than a few. I don't want to drink a lot of something that sour or tart. And it goes to like places where they're like, oh, you love IPAs. You got to try our new freaking habanero ghost pepper IPA. And I love spicy food, but I don't want to drink it. And even if I take a sip and it's like, oh, that is kind of good. It's spicy. I don't want more than a half a glass of it. I came here to drink 5 beers. I'm not drinking 5 jalapeno, whatever.
There goes your taste buds for the rest of the evening.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that's true with sours also. It really is. That's a good point is that, with sours, I generally like them in a smaller pour.
Right.
And it's one that I'm going to have in a lineup versus, like you said, doing a whole session of sours. It's just not going to work out. I mean, even with kettle sours, if you have 2 of those, it's going to, at least for me, tears my stomach up a little bit and it kind of limits my session. So I agree with you. You definitely you can't have a full session of just sours. I can't, at least. Maybe some.
Have you tried those wacky milkshake beers, like milkshake IPAs? Those are strange too.
I like. Well, I don't know. I guess the milkshake ones, like the slushy ones.
That's what I was going to say. I thought I didn't like them, but I've had like a few where I'm like, okay, that is pretty good. But again, I don't know if I want to drink more than one. So
So one particular milkshake IPA that I love, which comes out every April from ASB, Double Dank Shake.
Yes.
And it's a double IPA where they add in the lactose to make it a milkshake IPA. And that it's almost like drinking like an Orange Julius.
Okay, so
agreed.
Like, have you had Great Notions beers?
Yes.
From Oregon, I assume.
Yeah, I get regularly shipped to my house.
As soon as you asked that, every listener was just like, yeah, they like Great Notion. We talk about them all the time.
I assume everybody likes it who's tried it because to me, some of the stuff they do is pretty much some of the best beer I've ever had. For my palate, anyways. Some of them are a little much and I don't like, but there's a handful where I'm like, okay, yes, I could drink these till I passed out. I would just keep drinking them over and over. They're that good.
For sure.
Smooth, creamy, flavorful. I don't know what they're doing, but
they're putting some kind of magic in there. But Alvarado Street Brewing, the one that ASB that I just mentioned, they're basically like the Great Notion of like the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
They're all, in fact, the beer that I just mentioned, their Double Dank Shake that they release for April 20th every year, they do in collaboration with Great Notion. And Great Notion brews their own beer in collaboration with ASB, and that one's called Triple Dank Shark. So it's a triple IPA that's usually at least like 10.5, 11%.
It's a big beer, but it is good.
Yep.
I
love that stuff. And then whenever the bottle shops around here get it, they're like, oh, we got a shipment in from Great Notion and whatever, and I want to go get it, and then I remember how expensive it is, and then I still go buy it, and I'm like, okay, it's worth it. I know why it's damn near twice as much as every other beer they sell there.
Do they not deliver to Washington?
Oh, I think I could probably get it delivered, but I got 2 places right by me that get it very often, and the breweries. There's 2 of them in Seattle, so.
I didn't realize that they had locations up in Seattle too.
Yeah,
okay. Good, nice.
Yeah, that's one of the things we've talked about with Great Notion before, is that because they opened up a California location also, and I've talked about, we know some folks who are in some different beer markets who have been involved in the industry that say like, yeah, they don't even try to sell in California just because the expense of getting the distributors to get it across the state lines and the number of breweries in California, like there's just no way to compete. So they don't even do it. And so I thought it was when Great Notion was just like, yeah, what we should do? Let's just open a brewery there.
Which they did. and it wasn't even open to the public. It was just purely a shipping distribution center.
Oh, wow.
Because they had such a large following in California, and people were basically kind of like bootlegging them down to California. And you'd occasionally get some bottle shops and tap rooms here and there getting them and everything. But they eventually they were just like, whatever. And in the Sacramento area, they opened a distribution warehouse with a production facility. They don't even have a tap room there. It's not even open to the public. It's just purely shipping.
Wow. They got a big following, that's for sure.
They only recently opened a tap room, I think, in Berkeley. So like in the last year or so. But that shipping place has been there for the last. Literally, they opened the shipping place as we moved from California to Oregon.
Yes. But yeah, so it sounds like they've got a couple locations in the Washington area, so probably a similar situation. They're like, it's easier than dealing with multi-state licensing and shipping and all that. Like, just open up in the state.
Yep.
Yeah, very good.
Power
that's excellent. I love their beers. They make good stuff.
Yeah.
And that huge variety, there's something for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Make. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know you've talked about you like a hazy IPA. That's always a good go-to for you.
Yep.
Yeah. What's another style that if you see it, you're going to reach for it?
I mean, I guess I'm just mostly an IPA guy. Whether if it's double IPA, hazy IPA, or if they don't have anything like that, it's pale ale. I'm not too big on a lot of other types of beers. I like what I like, and I drink a lot of it.
Well, you mentioned that you're not big on the sweet ones, or sweet things, so I figured stouts are probably out as well.
No, I'm not a coffee guy either, so I don't even like the smell of it. So we'll go somewhere, and my wife will get a big black-looking stout or something, and I'm just like, oh, I can't even. I can smell it from here. I don't. But I don't drink them a lot, but I'm not opposed to drinking a Pilsner or something super light when it's hot out and you're outside, and you can't drink heavy IPAs for every event, everything that you do.
For sure.
I go to a concert or something, I'm not going to sit there and drink 10, 8% IPAs while I'm there. I will, but usually I got to tone it down, and maybe every other will be a good strong one. But
it's fair. It's a good strategy. Yeah. Well, listen, I think we should probably take a break real quick. We've been going for a little bit here. I know I probably need to grab another pint. So, let's say let's everybody check out some, whatever we do over the break, and we'll be back shortly.
Sounds good.
Yeah, hi, I'm Matt from Looney's Brew. So we have a small brewery here. It's right on Rainy Lake. This is in Rainier, Minnesota, right next to the icebox of the nation. We've been running the brewery here since about 2017. We've had up to like 24, 25 beers on tap. Right now we're at about 16, 18. We have a pretty wide variety with your light beers, lagers, your regular ales, different fruit beers, stronger beers, Belgian ales. It's a great location during winter. There's different stuff to do than during summer. You can show a little deal of the lake there. But during the summer, that's all open water, and we have a nice deck area. There's a little food thing outside during the summer. So, for the brewery, we just have like a little 2.5 barrel system. So it's small batches, but then that gives us the flexibility to do many different kinds and lots of experimentations as we have now. And, so if you're ever up in northern Minnesota, stop on by.
Awesome. Thank you.
Did you ever get the feeling that there was more to this world than meets the eye?
Ghosts, aliens, interdimensional spirits, cryptids, North Dakota. Well, neither have we.
So come join us as we uncover the true stories and plausible explanations behind famous paranormal urban myths.
From the perspective of skeptics.
But it's funny. We promise it's funny.
So join us in the Least Haunted Podcast, because the only thing that's haunted here is you.
Ah!
Are you a new parent trying to find your way?
Or are you thinking of becoming a new parent and want to know what to expect?
Or do you not plan on having kids but just want to know what it's like?
Nobody without kids wants to know what it's like.
I'm Travis.
I'm Stephanie.
And we have just the show for you.
You, Me, and Squeeze, a new podcast where we explore the challenges of being new parents and everything we learn along the way. We'll talk about our experiences, different parenting philosophies and trends, giving our own perspectives, and talking about what worked for us and what didn't.
Let's face it, a lot has changed since our parents and grandparents were raising kids. So we're all kind of figuring out this new frontier for ourselves, and it can feel pretty lonely. So come join us for the journey where sometimes we'll laugh, sometimes we'll cry, but we'll always be real with you.
You, Me, and Squee. It beats listening to your childless aunt give her 2 cents.
Or any of your aunts, really.
Drunkenly mix metaphors and travel Hoppy Trails.
All right, welcome back. And yeah, I'm sure whatever we played during that break was probably amazing. Products and or services or whatever it was you listened to. Yeah.
It was a Bavarian Meats commercial.
Probably a
Was I in
Bavarian
it?
Meats commercial. Oh man, they send me some sausages. It will be some Bavarian Meats commercials.
You know what's
no doubt
funny?
about
I
it.
got 2 random people that sent me. So one was my ex-wife and said, why did I just have to see your face on my friend's phone? And I said, what? She goes, he's playing Candy Crush and your face popped up. And I'm like, oh, because they promoted this ad that I did with them. But that's cool. That's what I want. And someone else said the same thing. I was looking at, I don't know what it was, but an ad popped up and you were in it. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yes. Ah, that's
working.
outstanding. Yeah, not us, man. We're
Not yet.
we're
Not yet.
not
We'll get
that
there. We'll
popular.
get
Yeah, we'll get there.
We're on a meteoric rise, all right? So everybody, hitch your wagon to this star, whatever it is they say.
Something like that.
Well, earlier today, I sent both of you a link to an article, and I said, don't bother reading this because I'm going to break it down and I'm going to have some shit to say, as I often do in a segment we've come to known as Travis Hates an Article or something like that.
I like it already.
Yeah, we'll come up with a title card and everything. It's going to be great.
Something ground Travis's gears.
Yes, it did, man. Something ground my malt or other brewery terminology. Before we do that, though, to make sure I've got I stay level-headed and calm, I'm gonna crack open this beer from Liquid Gravity here. This is a Mo Diggity, okay, 100% Mosaic double dry hop West Coast IPA. All words that sound great to me. 6.5% on the lighter end again. Nice and
Sounds good.
sessionable. You can have 15, 20 of these, no problem.
Perfect.
And,
You could say that Liquid Gravity keeps you grounded.
it keeps you grounded. Very smart, Nick. I like that. I like that. All right.
Send them some beer.
That's right. That's right. To all the breweries out there listening, all 0 of you, that's it. You send us a case of beer, we will come up with a slogan all day long.
There you go.
Ooh, this is
Fire
this is actually
marketing
really nice.
team, because we'll be them.
Look at that. That's nice and clear. Very light color there. Look at that head retention. That's
some
All
good
right, I'll
head
do
right
the
there.
same thing. Here we go.
yeah, crack it.
Shotgun.
Yeah, I feel
I
like
don't know.
well, do you know about the beer Kong? Are you hip to the beer Kong?
What? I guess not.
The beer Kong.
Oh.
It's something well we found out about through Stale Cracker, who is a man out of Louisiana that makes some amazing food content. And Yeah, there it is. There's the beer Kong Nick's holding up right there. It is a koozie that doubles into.
Oh wow, a bong. Oh god,
Okay.
I don't need that.
And so the hose, the end of the hose will secure up into the handle, so you can actually fill your own without spilling it, unlike the traditional hose and funnel. So
I mean, I don't know if I believe that it works unless you demonstrate it real quick.
It definitely works.
you go on our Instagram, you will see some demonstrations of it working. I've knocked down a double IPA out of one of those, and
This is what
it's a beautiful.
When we go on waterfall hikes where it's a trail that just ends at a waterfall, we get to the waterfall, crack open a beer, pour that in, and boom.
You get your waterfall.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. A beer fall.
That is pretty
Made
cool.
for hydration.
I do like that.
Yeah, it's a great little device. Beer Kong. Definitely check them out. They don't give us any for free or promote us or anything, but who knows? Maybe if we say their name enough times, a couple show up on our doorstep.
That's cool.
All right. Everybody ready now? We're going to get into some serious stuff here. All right.
Someone's
written about beer and it has
cereal.
offended me. Okay, this is an article that came out of the Men's Journal. Not sure if you've ever heard of this. It's a small local grassroots publication.
Oh yeah, I think I have. Yes,
starting to gain some traction. Who knows? Maybe being on this episode will help them out in their business. The name of this article, very clickbait, is Beer in Trouble?
It is when I'm around.
Yes, that's right. No beer is safe. It was written by a man named Chris McClellan. This is an article that came out on the 19th of January of this year, 2024. And a little background on Chris McClellan. As we've seen from some of the previous articles that have been written, there are a lot of these, asshats who don't know what they're talking about, who want to opine about beer. Some folks who have a storied career in whatever other field it is, and they thought, I'm going to dip my toe into a vat of beer without knowing that you shouldn't put your toe in a beer because that will ruin it. This man is actually not that. This guy knows about the beer industry. He is a beer industry consultant right now. He is an advanced Cicerone, which for folks that know, the Cicerone certification program has different levels. Advanced is the third level, requires quote, distinctive expertise in beer, strong sensory skills, and mastery of flavor vocabulary for both technical and consumer. Has a lot of prerequisites and comes with an exam with a written exam and an in-person tasting and oral exam. Now, it sounds like oral exam and tasting are redundant, but no, apparently those are two different things. You do the tasting and then you speak with your mouth for the oral exam. But it sounds like it's a hard thing. So I'm going to say this guy knows his stuff if he's passed it. Okay. He has worked for Magic Hat. He has worked for Guinness. He's worked for Torch and Crown, among other beer-related ventures. And I think he's got his own things going. He's got a consulting company and things like that. Needless
Clearly,
to say,
he's very qualified.
He's qualified to write the article. He knows what he's talking about. Okay.
Sounds like
so
an
we'll
asshole.
start with that.
Right up our alley.
Yeah, that's some asshole just talking about beer all day.
Yeah,
what a schmuck. What a schmuck. One of the things that stood out to me in this article is the way it starts. Okay. Obviously, the name is Beer in Trouble. I look at it, I roll my eyes. No, we can see breweries everywhere. Beer is doing just fine. But obviously, I'm going to read on and see what his point is. But he starts off with this. The original craft brewery, Anchor, was put on the auction block by its owners, and it's been sitting there for months. Anchor Brewing, as many people know, if you're in California, you know Anchor. But as many other people know, especially that we've talked about a little bit on this show, Anchor is one of the first craft breweries, right? They've been around forever. They're a California staple for over 100 years. They've been turning out really amazing beer. The California Common is one that they popularized, and they trademarked steam beer, so everyone else had to call it a California Common. Anchor Brewing has changed hands a few times. We had Julio from Lefties on. He was an important part of Anchor for many years, back when it was under Fritz Maytag. It then sold to Sapporo, who mismanaged it, tried to grow too fast, all of these different things. And they're getting rid of it, right? And so, of course, a bunch of employees from Anchor have gotten together. They're trying to start a cooperative, and they want to buy it back, all of the intellectual property, even the location and all of that, and just get started again. Okay. There are a couple of other bidders who want to come in and basically buy it piecemeal. There's somebody who wants the land because it's very valuable land in San Francisco in a high demand area. There are folks who want the equipment because it's classic equipment that they don't really build anymore. So there's a lot of people that want to come part it out. And there's one group that wants to buy it all and keep it running. So to say, it's been on the auction block for months and it hasn't sold, that's not because nobody wants it. It's because it's a very big, valuable asset and people are trying to figure out how they can take it on. So that obviously struck a chord with me to start off with that as the example in the very first paragraph. I don't think it's apt. I don't think it's exemplary of the industry as a whole. And I think it's a really unique situation. All right. That aside, he goes on to say, weekly stories of small breweries consolidating or filing for bankruptcy protection. You likely saw at least one local taproom close for good, right? Well, I took a look. California Craft Brewers Association says that there are more than 1,100 craft breweries in California alone last year in 2023, and those craft breweries contributed $9 billion to the state's economy and employ more than 54,000 people. Okay? According to the beerthrillers.com, there are more than 9,700 breweries nationwide in 2023, and that 549 opened in the United States and only 319 closed. Right? That is fewer openings than the year before, but that's still more openings than closings. Okay? So the idea of, breweries are closing down, yes, some of them are, as will happen in any industry. This is a big country, but more of them are opening than closing. That's a good
That's
sign.
exactly what I thought when I read that part. I did read down that far, and I was talking about it with my wife when I told her I was going to come on and talk with you guys, and I said, I do know of a handful, one or two around that have closed, but I feel like 5 other ones opened. So it's not dead or dying. Yeah, I get it. A couple closed, but new ones are opening, I swear, every month. At least around here they are.
In the last 6 months, I know of at least a few that have closed in the San Jose area. But at the same time, the times that I did drink their beer, I thought it was good, but it didn't stand out to me. And I suspect a lot of these ones that are closing are ones that just aren't
They're
producing
lousy.
beer that stand out.
Yep.
Not to say that they're necessarily lousy, but like they're just okay. They're, but compared to many others surrounding them, they just weren't able to, up the game and stay competitive.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when he talks about, small brewers consolidating, okay, yes, some small breweries consolidating, some of it's hard to talk about large and small because there are different scales. In craft, there are some much bigger players who are also still small when compared to, the national and international brands. But we can talk about some of the bigger labels that have, consolidated in recent times, right? Bear Republic just got taken on by who took them? Drake's Brewing. So it's like, yeah, those are 2 big powerhouse breweries that consolidated, but at the end of the day, are there fewer beers on the market because of that consolidation? No, of course not. Drake's kept all of the IP, they kept all the recipes, they're keeping up capacity and sales and all of that. So yeah, there are fewer people owning those 2 breweries, but that hasn't affected. And, I'm not going to say this one example is the whole market, but just because a couple breweries consolidate doesn't mean that there's any negative impact on the market, right? And
Totally.
he goes on to talk about Gen Z is not as into beer as the previous generations. That may be. But then here's something that jumped out to me. It said that 2023 had the lowest beer consumption in the United States since 1999. Okay? Is that true?
There's no way.
I don't know. I don't know because I can't find a source with data on it.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal reported that was true. I can't find the Wall Street Journal's numbers, and in all of my searching, I could not find numbers that showed that. Here's what I could find. A website called Statista.com, right? and they are listing U.S. beer consumption from 2013 to 2022. That's a 10-year period. And they list theirs in 2.25 gallon cases. That's the unit they use, okay? The high was 2.848 million cases. That was the highest in that 10-year period, and that was 2021. 2022 was down 1% to 2.818 million cases, okay? That's a shit ton of beer, all right? The data I could find showed that at the end of the third quarter of 2023, sales were down about 5%, which is a big dip, okay? Over that 10-year period that Statista had, there were fluctuations of a few percent. I don't think there was any fluctuation of 5%. So if something's down 5%, that is a big deal. That's a lot, okay? And if the fourth quarter followed that trend, then we're looking at probably 2.6775 million cases, which is still a fuckload of beer. And that's only 4% below the lowest year in that 10-year period. And that lowest year was 2018. Okay. So what we see is this rise and fall. There's fluctuations. All right. Now, I looked at the National Brewers Association, and even though there were dips in overall, craft beer remained very steady and actually increased in dollar value of sales by 5%. So craft beer volume did not go down, stayed pretty steady, but the dollar sales went up by 5%. I'm sure all of us noticed that the cost of a craft beer went up, right? There's a lot of factors. Cost of aluminum went up due to various tariffs and what have you. Cost of shipping went up because there was, I don't know, this thing that happened a couple of years ago that shut down global shipping for a minute. We haven't recovered. But there's a lot of factors that go into it, okay? By volume, craft beer has increased 13.2 it has increased to 13.2% of the US market. So major beer, the big guys, your Anheuser-Busch and what have you, they have reduced, and craft beer is now 13.2%. And it is 24.6% by dollar value of the US market. The US beer market is $115 billion, and craft beer is now 24.6% of that. That's a pretty strong showing for craft beer, which has been growing steadily.
It's not going anywhere.
I wonder how much of that craft beer are breweries that are owned by Big Beer.
Yeah. That's actually a very interesting point because, yeah, depending on what source you're going to, they do differentiate between, craft in general, which includes those that are purchased by Big Beer, and independent craft, which is obviously a very different thing, independently owned. So that would be an interesting thing to look at, Nick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the article does go on to mention that the world's largest brewer, Anheuser-Busch InBev, lost 26% of the volume of their biggest beer brand, Bud Light, in 2023. And we all know what happened. I'm not going to get into it because that's a totally different topic. That's not for us. But we know what happened. It happened in April of 2023, and they took a 26% hit on Bud Light. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal.
It is.
Did a lot of those people switch to a different brand? Probably a lot of them.
They absolutely did. In fact, Grupo Modelo moved into being the front runner of Big Beer.
Yes.
Because of that.
Now, not all of those people switched to another beer. Okay? Because there are a lot of other things that have come out and grown on the market. So we have to look at seltzers. Very, very prescient of you, Nick. Seltzers have increased in market share. This you're gonna shit when you hear this.
I already know that it's bad.
In 2018, the value of the seltzer market was $496 million with an M. In 2021, seltzers were $4.6 billion. Okay?
I've never ordered one or bought any.
That is a huge increase.
Wow.
Seltzers may have taken some of those folks who left Bud Light, may have gone to seltzers. There are also the ready packaged cocktails. So your canned margarita, your canned daiquiri, your canned Moscow Mule. Some of those are getting popular because they're cheap and you can take them everywhere you can take a beer.
Which, by the way, those canned cocktails I haven't had a good one.
Oh, I was going to say, have you had Buzz Balls?
Oh my, okay.
Yeah, exactly. They're gross.
We have a listener. You know who you are. You know who you are. I'm going to talk to you about it tomorrow. You know who you are. That likes Buzzballs.
Oh.
She bought me for, I believe it was my birthday a couple years back. So you know the Buzzballs, they make them like the size of a little grenade, right?
But have you seen the huge ones?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know they make big ones?
Mega balls or something? I don't know what they're called.
She bought me one of those giant ones. I just looked at them like, this is a
Hell
hangover.
No.
Read the back. Oh, there's 5,000 grams of sugar in here.
Sugar, yes. You're like drinking syrup. Oh.
Sugar and citric acid and industrial vodka is what's going on in there. I mean, it'll get you drunk. There's no
not
two
even
ways
vodka,
about
dude.
it.
It's just isopropyl alcohol.
Yes. So yes, I have seen Buzzballs.
Yeah, Buzzballs. We're all aware of Buzzballs.
Yeah. Stay away from Buzzballs. That is a Hoppy Trails recommendation. We don't make a lot of recommendations, but here's one.
I think I have 2 of them in my garage. Should I drink one? No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have a Kong? If you don't Kong it, it doesn't count.
Yeah, I don't.
You're better off using it as a baseball.
Now, the article does from there, it does go on to take kind of a change in tone. I mean, you can see, he mentioned some things. I kind of fact-checked, not really fact-checked, but just, I think the data is a little different from the feeling you get at the beginning of the article. And he does switch up a little bit, okay? Continues, Chris, the author, he says, okay, well, what about the question? But the breweries are all closing. And he does come back and recognize, look, there are more than 9,000 breweries in the country. So he does recognize that beer is still strong. And he says, will there be more closures? Well, he has predicted that over the next 12 to 18 months, probably 500 breweries will close. And here's what I'm going to say. You don't have to be fucking Nostradamus. Just look at the number of breweries that closed over the last year, extrapolate that to 18 months, it's going to be approximately 500. So that's not really taking a risk to say that. I think that's a very safe prediction. 500 will probably close. How many will open? That's a good question. We've had a lot of expansion over the last 15 years, which he notes, right? There's been a lot of growth, almost explosive, and craft beer has been chipping away at that big beer market. So is that going to continue? Well, who knows? Probably not. He talks about the industry maturing, which is when you start to see a leveling off of openings and closings, entries and exits from the market starting to level out and things be stable. Are we approaching that? Maybe. We might be. There's been a lot of growth. Maybe we are approaching that. But that's definitely not a decrease. And I think he's on the same page with us there. Now, there's not a lot more to the article. He does he ends it up with what sounds like kind of a promo for his, consulting services and like that. And look, if you own a brewery and you're struggling or you're trying to succeed or grow or whatever, I don't know. This guy probably knows what he's talking about. And if you need a consultant, fucking give him a call. Great. This article I didn't think was as informative as I had hoped from his background. I think I added quite a bit more detail than he had in there to give us kind of a more better, well-rounded view. Gentlemen, did anything that I said surprise you any more than what you thought going into this?
No.
Not really. I mean, the only thing I was thinking was, I don't even remember, there were so many statistics there. How much of these stats were like, what about all the lockdowns? The couple places by me that have closed are for sure 100% because of being locked down and being closed. And you got to factor that in because it was a weird time in the world. I feel like any survey or any article, if you're not taking that into consideration, then it's all just out the window.
Even 2-3 years after the fact, businesses are 100% still feeling the effects.
Because of 2020.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're seeing some crazy movement, too, because was there a dip in beer sales? You're goddamn right? When places are not operating their tap, there's a huge dip. But so as soon as things started opening up, there was a dip and then a big surge. And then, as you said, some places are still struggling because they couldn't get their feet back under them. Some other places have taken the opportunity of, hey, now is the time to open. And so we've got that things are in flux.
Yeah.
And then, is there a big dip this year? Yeah, maybe. It could be that there was still a large number of breweries who have been struggling along, limping along, who just couldn't make that recovery and finally had to close their doors. I mean, there's so many variables. But
For sure.
I mean, gentlemen, we're boots on the ground out there. Did any of you think beer was in trouble?
Nope.
No.
I don't think it's in trouble. I'm out there every day. We're the soldiers on the front line.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If there's ever mention of a new brewery, I'm going there. And it's packed when I go there. And beers are expensive and people are having a good time. Beer is dying or beer is dead. I don't buy that for a second.
I don't buy it. No, I don't think we've hit the peak. I don't think we're starting a decline. None of that.
No.
Beer is strong and craft beer is getting stronger every day. And
if it were in the decline or dead or dying, I wouldn't have to wait in line 10 deep to buy one for $8 or $10.
It's true. It's
I wouldn't think.
No, and Nick, you
that's
went to
another
Campsite
aspect
Brewing.
of it is the fact that prices are so high now for, if you're drinking beer at a bar, or going to certain tap rooms where they're charging $30+ for a 4-pack of cans. Clearly, people are paying those prices. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're willing to
true.
pay it, it's here for the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Nick went to close to the opening. I guess it was opening weekend for Campsite Brewing, and you were saying there was a line around the block, like it was
when we first got there at like 8:00 at night, because this is down in Covina, down in Southern California. And originally, when we pulled up, I was like, "Is this a nightclub?" Like there was a legit a line down the sidewalk, and they were, like checking at the door and everything. And we ended up going to. We went to a tap room, 5 minutes away. We hung out there for a couple hours and went back to Campsite Brewing at like 10:30 at night. Thankfully, they closed at midnight. And when we got there was no line, but there was still there was easily 150 people there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, Nick, we made that trip to Bend, Oregon approximately a year ago, right about a year ago.
Oh, that's a good beer drinking town. Did you do the ale trail?
We
just
did not do the ale trail.
But we didn't do an ale trail, but we hit some good ones. We went to
how many we hit? 8,
Crux
9?
Fermentation Project.
Crux is amazing. It's so different than any place I've ever been.
What a cool spot, isn't it?
Another spot that was really crazy, and unlike any other place. You may not like it because some of the beers they do are sours and they do the funky stuff and everything.
I still appreciate a good place.
Oh yeah, for sure. Ale Apothecary though, they're like they were killer.
Yeah, Ale Apothecary.
I think I probably did go there because the name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And then Bevel Craft, they were really cool because they had a little disc golf set up in the back behind the food carts and everything. And their beers were awesome. But
every place we went, tons of people. None of them looked like they were hurting for business.
And mind you, it was freezing outside. It was easily like 28 degrees out, and it was still tons of people there.
Yeah.
Outside, enjoying beer.
Here's what I will say about this author. Chris, he does say, look, beer has been one of the most popular beverages for 10,000 years. He says it's not going anywhere. So I like that he does bring that in. Like, look, rise, fall, expansion, contraction. 10,000 years we've been enjoying beer.
Yeah.
It is not going anywhere. The stuff is cyclical. Even if we do see a little contraction, it's going to come back around again. So I did appreciate that he put that in there. But
it makes people feel good, and it brings them together, just like it's brought us together here.
Exactly.
So, absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, and that's a heck of a transition, Nick. That's But speaking of coming together and doing stuff, what does everyone have going on soon? I know Nick and I, we've got that festival coming up in South Carolina. That's coming up on the first weekend in February.
Yeah.
I assume it's a beer festival.
You're goddamn right. It's a beer festival.
Wood-aged beer festival.
Yeah, wood-aged beer festival at a place called New Groove Brewing, and they've been just almost on the daily announcing, hey, here's another brewery that's involved. Here's another brewery involved. I can't wait. It should be a good time of just drinking all kinds of different beers, meeting.
Did you guys get invited, or you just kind of went together and said, let's go on a trip together and go?
Well, so one of our because we have a Patreon, and one of our our first patrons, lives
Our
out
first
there. That's
patron.
our first patron.
Very first
He
patron.
lives out nearby there. He let us know about it. And so we're going out there and we're hanging out with him. And apparently we have 2 other patrons that are flying in, driving in to hang out with us for the weekend as well.
When is it?
It is February 2nd out in South Carolina.
Coming up real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, if you can go, I'll give you the flight details. Make it out there. They've got some VIP tickets left. It's going to be a good time.
I can't swing that one. It's too soon. But I haven't been to South Carolina. I've been to North Carolina, but never South Carolina.
Well, what do you have coming up on your calendar? Any kinds of events, anything that you're doing? If somebody wanted to, stalk you and come up and meet you in person, where could they do it?
Well, it's funny because if I ever announce where I'm going, like I was talking about earlier, I'm going to go to Texas, and I'll say something about it, and people are like, "Oh, I'm only a couple hours away. I'll come meet you for a beer." And I get that kind of stuff all the time, and it definitely has happened many a times.
Yeah.
It's happened in Vegas, obviously Oklahoma, a couple more local places. People, if they know I'm there, they'll want to come up and meet, have a beer and say hi and whatever, and that's always great. So stalk me all you want. I don't care. I'll buy you a beer. How about that? If someone finds me and they know who I am, I'll buy you a beer because it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're one of those couples, I guess, or we're those people that is even before the new year, we already planned out every time we'll be off for all of 2024. So we have a lot of every trip I'm going on is already might not all be technically paid for yet, but it's already all booked and the time's already been requested off of work.
That's awesome.
We'll figure that part out later, but we my wife and I try to go somewhere roughly every other month ish.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of things upcoming. Like I said, the next real thing is going to Texas and Oklahoma for a week, and it'll be to visit that brewery I was talking about and go check out Fort Worth. And if anybody's in Oklahoma or Fort Worth area and wants to have a beer, and I'll be there drinking for a week. So,
yeah, it's outstanding. Well, we definitely have to plan something so we can meet up in person. You're up in the Washington region there. It's not far from either of us. It's I can get a direct flight. Nick, I know you'll bring the truck up, and the great thing is when Nick brings the truck, usually there's a lot of beer in it. So I'm sure we can find something to do with all that.
Yeah, we could almost all meet in Bend, I would think.
Yeah, that actually sounds like it. As soon as you said that, I'm like, God damn, we can meet in Bend, and I can get a direct flight from my local small airport to the Redmond airport there, and we'll make that work. Yeah,
we drove obviously, but it wasn't a bad drive. It was
Ben's like 2.5 hours for us, even in snow. So
yes, yeah, I know because you did it last year in the snow. Yeah.
Then you got to find a place where you can film your podcast on location in a brewery, and we'll sit there and do the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because last year where we were just in an Airbnb and we just recorded episodes right in the living room there. But that was back when we were in Bend. But that was back when we weren't doing video. But we'll have to do I'm down. Crux would be a really good spot for that.
Oh yeah, Crux. I've only been there that one time, but it stands out in my mind of one of the cooler. At least like the venue itself, like on a farm, and like it was just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so if people want to find you, where can they find you? If anybody doesn't already know where to find you and they heard about you the first time on this podcast, which is very few people, but where can they find you?
I'm hoping they can find me by seeing a sticker plastered freaking across this whole planet by now. I send out so many of them all the time, and people are like, look, it's at the Eiffel Tower. I don't know, all these places I've never been, but people put my stickers everywhere.
That's
I'll never see that, but kind of a funny story. My IT guy at work came up one day, and he just like comes in, and he's like, how the hell did you do that? And I said, do what? And he's like, if I type in an Intoxicated Traveler on Google, it's like the first 8 things that pop up. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, do you know how much fucking money we pay as a business to try to be first on a Google search? How'd you do that? I'm like, dude, I don't know. Because enough people out there are sharing it and putting the stickers out there and wearing the stuff. And so it's pretty easy to find. Now you can just Google. You can Google Intoxicated Traveler or my little tagline, Drinks, Dogs, Debauchery. And I'm the first, all the matches that come up. So It's very Googleable, if that's the thing.
It is. It is. I'm going to tell my boss at work, listen, I spoke with this marketing guru, and he said if we want to be on the top of the search results, we have to drink more beer at work. And so I have this 6-pack. There are 4 left. If you want to get involved, let's go.
If you're not going to drink, then are you really a team player?
That's right. That's right. Why am I pulling all the weight at this company? It's ridiculous.
And then, I get people like, I literally had a message. I don't remember if it was this morning now or last night that someone's like, hey, I'm really trying to follow your footsteps. And how do I start a brand or get a big following? And I'm like, you think I know? All I do is drink beer and try to record myself being stupid. And people like it. I don't know. I don't have any advice for you other than keep trying, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Get a dog. That's step 1. Right?
Get a personality.
Yeah.
There you go. That's going to get a personality.
Not to sound like a dick or anything, but it's all about personality.
Anytime when I set up my booth or tent or whatever have you, people will walk by and I got a big old flag, with the logo behind me sitting in front of it. And they're like, I'll just hear people mumble, Intoxicated Traveler, that's me or that's you. And I'm just like, no, it's me. So that's the thing is we came up with the name and the logo and tagline and people really, really resonate with it. It's like drinking and dogs and having fun and traveling. It's everybody really, unless you're just some dirtbag loser that's a stick in the mud. I mean, it's the rest of us, I guess.
I just realized who you remind me of.
Oh,
Who is it?
Hot Tub Time Machine.
All right, I'm gonna throw some. I haven't seen Hot Tub Time Machine.
No.
I remind you of the hot tub?
No. What's his name? Rob Chowdhury or Cowdhury or whatever.
Cordry? Just because he's bald.
Yeah.
But your voice is even
similar.
That son
of a bitch.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You're definitely more handsome. But yeah.
Who is your Rob Cowdhury? I'm gonna make a reel and I'm gonna tag him in it, just so we all agree that you are more handsome than Rob Cowdhury. Is that what we're saying? Is that the position of Hoppy Trails Pod? Yeah.
Then he's gonna show up on one of your travels and be like, "So I heard you."
You know what? I'll take it. I'm looking for someone famous or even relatively famous that I can persuade to wear something of mine and help get it out there, but. I don't know anybody. I don't got any connections, so not yet.
Well, and hey, you didn't meet anybody famous tonight either, so let me throw that out there. We're not doing you any favors, man. You may lose followers from this. That's real. Yeah.
Losing, no matter what I do, and whether I think it's funny or offensive or not funny or whatever, the stuff that I get, people are so stupid. All the little keyboard warriors and all these tough guys that say things whatever. Come on.
Let me see if you agree with this, because this has kind of been our experience. Is it almost impossible to tell before you post something whether it's going to take off or not? Because that's been our experience, where it's like, we'll throw something up, we're like, this is a sick one. This is really good. We put a lot of work. Sure. We're like, everybody hates this. What is happening?
Yes. So I will sit there and work with the timing and figuring it out the right sequence and try to make a funny reel that I think's clever or funny or smart ass or whatever. I'm like, this is going to be a good one. The next day I'm like, 62 people saw it.
Yes.
And then I'll do some dumb thing of some soundbite of my dog, chasing his tail, whatever it may be. And it's like,
farting or
500,000. Yeah. It makes no sense.
Yes.
I wish I knew. I really wish I knew.
Yeah.
But once people really start seeing it, if you get one that takes off and all the comments, everybody wants to hate on you, really. It's like, are you jealous? I don't know. But it's like, if you look at one of the last ones that I did, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Because 100 comments on it freaking every time I open my phone. Yeah. My little joke was, I used to drink 7 or 8 beers every night and pass out and wake up hungover. And I still do, but I also, whatever.
Yeah.
Every comment, 7 or 8 beers, you pussy, I can drink 20 beers. Okay, tough guy. Okay, sure. Yeah, I get comments like, dude, my wife drinks 8 beers or more every night. And I respond to everything. I said, really? Your wife drinks 8 beers? She sounds like a beast. I don't want a wife that drinks 8 beers every night, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't even care how big it gets. I will respond to every single stupid thing that someone wants to throw at me because I don't care. You saw it. If you don't like it, don't look at it, pal.
That's it. That's it. You took the time to engage with it. Thank you.
Yes.
That helps me with the algorithm.
Exactly. You saying, like, someone will just comment, so what's the point of you posting this? And I just say, what's the point of you commenting on it then?
Yes.
That's the point. That is the point, to get you to get a reaction, okay?
Yes. No, 100%. No,
I have a name for your next beer.
Ooh, what is it?
Okay.
I'm not going to say it now. I'll say it after the fact.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, somebody's going to bite it and steal it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The next one that I'm going to dump in my glass right now? Oh, you
No. The one that you do collaboration beer. Yeah.
The next beer you make, we've got a name. We're going to slip it into your DMs.
Go for it. I have a list. I have a note in my phone. I'm not going to touch it now because we're doing this, but I have all my beer names that didn't work. And a couple I think would be a great beer name, and I Googled it. I don't think anyone's ever used it. I think Sick Day IPA is a great name.
Nice.
Sick Day, because you had too many IPAs. It has a good ring to it.
Oh, yeah.
Sick Day IPA, and what was another front runner? Hazy Legs. Instead of Crazy Legs, I wanted to do Hazy Legs.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I have a whole list, but I just settled on the Hometown Haze one. So.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Fuckers. Somebody's already got a beer that name.
Nick. There was an article a few years ago about the beer, especially hoppy beer pun name wars that were going on with people trying to trademark and then fighting each other over trademark infringement and all of this. It's like, listen, man, there's only so many puns that have to do with hops. Like, chill out, man. If they're not selling it in your market, like, take it easy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like that sometimes. Anything funny or unique or clever you think you thought of, you Google it, it's already been done somewhere. Almost everything's already been thought of, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Our tagline, right? Always say yes to the hoppy ending. I can tell people where that comes from, but you got to be a patron. So if you are a patron, I will post something a little bit later on after this episode comes out about what kind of inspired that. Always say yes to the hoppy ending, because that comes from somewhere. And look, man, there's nothing original. There's just not, you know. People just find ways to chop up and repackage something else. But yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Well, someone already has the beer name that you can say it now, can't you?
Which one? No. Oh yeah, Nick.
Because you were talking about how you get a lot of on the good stuff. You get a lot of haters and everything. I was like thinking of Haterade, and then I was like, Hazerade.
Oh yeah,
Hazerade. Yes,
but it's already been done.
By one brewery, it looks like by Pure Project Brewing, which
Hazerade.
Look, I've never heard of them, so they're
so I could use it.
Time. Yeah, you're all good.
I feel like I've heard of them. Oh yeah, they're down in San Diego.
Are they really?
Oh well, shit.
Yeah. Don't mess with San Diego breweries. They're
probably not a good idea.
Notoriously litigious.
Dude,
no,
I've seen. Thanks to Untapped, though. I mean, I've seen so many different breweries produce a beer with the same name.
Yes,
so I feel like
all the time
too.
Yeah,
all the time.
So I mean, honestly, I wouldn't let that stop you. But it looks like it's actually pretty recent because I've seen on Untapped. I'm seeing people that have like checked it in as early as December 30th, and then my birthday back in September, and so looks like it's a semi-recent beer.
Here's what I'm going to throw out here. So I'm brewing. We years and years ago when we first started putting out beers, there was a small brewery in the South Bay called Santa Clara. Was it Santa Clara Valley Brewing or Santa Clara Brewing? I think it was Santa Clara Valley, and they had a pale ale called Pale Ale. And we had a trademark. We worked hard to get that trademark. Okay. If you want to have a trademark, you have to do commerce across state lines. If all your commerce is within your state, you can't get a trademark because that's federal, and federal doesn't deal with purely intrastate. So you have to go interstate. So we literally had to find somebody who was licensed to ship beer to other states. We had to coordinate sales. We had to reach out to people in other states and be like, look, you're going to pay $50 for this 22-ounce bottle, but I really need you to do it as a favor to me, Aunt Marjorie or whatever, in Florida. And so we did that, and we sold posters and coasters and T-shirts, and we coordinated this whole thing so that we could show sales, so that we could get our trademark in clothing, print material, and beverages. And so we did that. We put a lot of work into it. And then there's this, Santa Clara Valley Brewing that has this Pale Ale. And we went to them and we said, hey, because we have a trademark, we are required to protect it, which means that we just need to come to you and say, we're going to have a formal agreement that says we allow you to use our trademark. That's it. You don't have to pay us anything. We just have this piece of paper that we have to do, because if you don't protect your trademark, you lose it. You lose the right to defend it. And they basically told us to go fuck off. They're like, no, this is the name of our beer. We don't care. I don't care who you are. You guys can get out of here. We're not going to do it. And so we thought back and we're like, well, what do we do? Like, I'm not going to get into an intellectual property lawsuit over this. If there's somebody else who uses it, we may have to fight it or whatever. But we ultimately decided to just step back and say, okay, well, let's see what happens and where it goes. And Santa Clara Valley Brewing doesn't exist anymore. And
there you go.
I tell that story because of this. As you said, there's a lot of breweries. You check in a beer, and if you don't specify the brewery, it may come up with like 5-10 different ones. And most of the time, those breweries are not fighting with each other. And people are like, look, just you make a beer, you sell the beer. That's great. We're all on the same team, taking dollars away from Anheuser-Busch, right? Every now and again, there's a brewery that's like, no, fuck you guys. It's for me. And, I'm going to, get mine by climbing over you and all of that. Those guys don't make it in this industry, because craft beer a lot of times is about community. It really is.
For sure.
And, look at us. That's what we do. We go out, we meet people. Can I make some content for you? Will you come be on our show? And let's, we all do this for each other, and we all grow together. And when there's one of those breweries that's like, no, not us, we're out for ourselves, they just don't seem to make it that long, Yeah.
Makes sense.
Listen,
Travis.
Gentlemen, this has been wonderful. We could go on like this for hours and hours, and we do need to probably schedule to have you back on again at some point in the future, because there's a lot of fun. But I think we got to wrap it up tonight. Nick, where can people find us?
HoppyTrailsPod.com.
That's right. That has links to everything, including our Patreon, where you can go and give us some of your money. And look, realistically, this is something that Nick and I, we fund out of our pockets. We make hats, we make shirts, we send them out. We go places. Yes, we enjoy ourselves. We have a good time. But we're making content, we're meeting people, and we're really trying to bring you guys a product. And so if you can spare a couple of bucks, we'd appreciate it. Become a patron. It helps us produce this content for you. And look, if you can't spare any money right now, go on Instagram and follow us and share us with some of your friends, or go give us a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcast, or subscribe to our YouTube, or whatever it is. Any of those things all helps us keep doing what we're doing.
I think if anything, we need to get on it and open up a storefront and sell some damn merch.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I want to do someday.
I'm telling you. Yeah. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to start stalking the Intoxicated Traveler, and everywhere he shows up, we're going to put some of our shit on his table.
There you go. See how it goes.
See what happens. Yeah.
Actually, if anything, we should send a stack of stickers up to him, and he can
100%
hand them out as freebies.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I put mine up. I can put yours up too. So
absolutely. And listen,
Definitely.
we're going to connect. We've got some stuff we want to send to you. And if you send us some stickers, we'll send them out to all of our people and everything like that.
For sure.
And listen, we really appreciate you coming on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
appreciate being here.
Yeah, 100%.
Good.
And so everybody, check out Intoxicated Traveler. You can find him on Instagram, where we found him. And what other platforms are you on?
You know what? That's pretty much it. That's
He's
all
just
I
on
do.
the grams like us.
That's it.
I don't do any of the other ones. I don't have YouTube. I don't have Facebook. I put it on there, and if you like it, you like it. If not, don't bother. You're not going to find me anywhere else. Unless you find me out at a bar or a brewery, which does happen.
Yeah.
The original social media.
The original social media, 100%. Brilliant. Well, listen, we're going to figure out a time we can meet up in person. And I think with that, the only thing left to do is remind everybody to always say yes to that hoppy ending.
Always say yes.
Cheers.
I will always say yes.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. The preceding podcast was produced by Sequoia Productions, LLC. Copyright 2022. All rights reserved. If you enjoyed this show and you're looking for more, or even if you're looking for something a little different, check out the other amazing shows by Sequoia Productions, wherever you get your podcasts, or on sequoia.com.
Hoppy Trails to brew until we drink again. Hoppy Trails to brew. Keep sharing with your friends. Who cares about which IPA tastes better? ABV are just a couple letters. Hoppy Trails to brews until we drink again.